Okay, guys, hi and welcome to... What are you laughing at? That's my intro. You just started laughing.
I wasn't laughing. I was trying to just smile and not look miserable.
Okay, I just heard a big guffaw into the mic. Right, let me try that again. Right, you
Well,
ready?
now I am laughing.
Right, cut. Okay, hi and welcome to this week's new podcast episode. So if you've been listening to my podcast, my new podcast, I've completed season 1. This is the start of season 2. This is episode 1, season 2. If you've already listened to season 1, then you will know that this is a podcast where I talk about everything to do with fitness, weight loss, losing weight, getting stronger, getting faster, cycling, running, everything that I do in my mainstream YouTube videos. And I spend quite a long time talking about things within my main videos that don't always make it into the video, because if I did, then it would be a really long-winded video. However, there's loads of stuff that I'd like to chat more about. And very recently, I made a video about why I'm vegan, why I turned vegan, specifically how it helped me with my weight loss, how it helped me get stronger, faster, how it helped me with my running, my cycling, how it allowed me to do the things that I do now. And I also dispelled some of the myths around it. So within this podcast episode, I've got Tracie with me.
Hello.
So Tracie is my, what should I call you? My partner, my girlfriend, my fiance.
All of the above.
All of the above. So I did make a video at the beginning of this year that talked about things that we've got planned for this year.
Oh.
So I talked about my Race of the Stones.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
No.
Talked about Thames Path Challenge. That hasn't happened yet. But fingers crossed.
Yet.
I've got 3 weeks until that happens. Talked about London to Brighton. That did happen.
Happened.
Talked about the fan dance.
That did happen.
That did happen. Talked about our wedding.
That didn't happen.
That didn't happen. So we were supposed to get married this year. What went wrong?
Pretty much everything.
Yeah. So everything that could go wrong with organising a wedding went wrong. The big thing, there's loads of different reasons, loads of different stuff happened that just conspired against us. But the big thing was the venue pretty much went bust that we were using and took all of our money.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to use the word steal because that's a pretty strong allegation, but
that's pretty much what they did.
They just refused to respond to our emails and just screwed over a load of people that were using them. Not just us, there was
other people too.
Yeah. And it became a whole big thing, didn't it? So
yeah.
All of our energy for the wedding went into trying to claw back some of our money that we had spent on a venue that we could no longer use because they went bust and the landlord took the...
It's now an Indian restaurant.
Yeah, it's completely changed. So anyway, we're getting off subject, but I always feel a bit weird when I say partner.
Yeah.
I'd rather say wife.
Yeah. I usually say husband to people.
Yeah.
Because it's easier and then they understand.
Yeah.
Because if you say partner, that's, I don't know.
Yeah, it makes it sound like it's like in Only Fools and Horses, Del Boy always refers to his Raquel, his girlfriend. He refers to her as his significant other. That's what he introduces her as to people. And it always makes me laugh because he doesn't know what to call her either. He doesn't want to say girlfriend because he's like the same age as me.
Yeah.
It sounds weird.
It's a bit more than just a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Because that's what you have when you're 12.
Yeah. And we've been together for how long?
Almost 24 years.
24 years this year.
Yeah.
24 years. Get less for murder.
It's 25.
Is it? Oh,
yeah.
No, you wouldn't then. So I've got Tracie with me anyway. So yeah, that was her introduction. My soon-to-be, hopefully, wife, current partner, girlfriend, fiance. So she's with me today and we're going to talk about a subject that I talked about in a video that I made recently. And the subject is, do you want to introduce it?
Being vegan.
Being vegan. Veganism. So I made a video up on my YouTube channel. You can go and watch it if you want to, if you haven't done so already. And it's basically a video about why I'm vegan. And in the video, I talk about, or I dispel some of the myths around veganism. So the myth around that veganism automatically makes you healthier just by cutting out all meat and dairy, apparently makes you healthy. It's one of the most common things I get in my comments. So I made a video months ago now. And in that video, I talked about veganism for 15 seconds. It was a video that was 45 minutes long. Or no, maybe not quite as long as that. About 40 minutes, 30 plus. It was a long video. And I spoke for veganism. I spoke for veganism for 15 seconds. And I got a plethora of comments. Some just dismissing it, saying, we don't want to hear about that. make more Zwift videos, please, which is fine. People giving me their feedback. And there was loads of comments on the video about, oh, you know, how much of a difference has it made? Has it made you, do you feel better because of it? Do you feel healthier? So there is a myth that being vegan makes you healthier.
Yeah, it doesn't. There's currently on sale right now 3 great big fat Krispy Kremes that are vegan friendly. So just because they're vegan doesn't mean that they're healthy.
No.
They're still donuts of like 600 calories per donut.
Yeah. Where did you see them?
In Tesco,
Oh.
on the Krispy Kreme stand.
And they're on sale? What, the
Yeah.
vegan ones?
Yeah.
Oh. So it is a well-known fact that almost every brand, food manufacturer, shop, whatever, will have a vegan-friendly alternative.
Yeah, most things
Most
do.
places, very few places offer, you know, if they're not vegan, they're plant-based, aren't
Yeah.
they? I mean, like an example would be Nando's.
Yeah.
Nando's, I wouldn't consider to be particularly healthy as a food choice. I mean, it's a place to go and treat yourself, isn't it?
Yeah.
And most fast food joints, I mean, I'd consider Nando's fast food, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's sort of a cross between a proper sit-down restaurant and McDonald's.
Yeah, it's middle ground.
Yeah, it's like a posh KFC.
Well, that's why they call it a cheeky Nando's.
What does that mean?
Like, because it's a bit more than McDonald's fast food, but it's not quite a restaurant.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So it's middle ground, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not quite Dixie's chicken on the high street.
No.
Dodgy salmonella infested chicken.
Yeah. It's not a kebab.
Yeah, they've got food standards,
Yeah.
is what we're saying. Yeah, it's not a kebab. So you go to Nando's and you're not going there because you're making healthy food choices, are you?
No. You're going there because you're too lazy to cook.
Yeah, which is what, you know, we sometimes do, just the vegan version of it. But when you go to Nando's, you can get a plant-based meal, can't you?
Yes.
But it's not vegan.
No.
No.
Because it's cooked on the same griddle as the chicken.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's why it's plant-based.
Yeah.
So we talked about some of the myths around that and it being healthier. And it's just, you know, as a diet itself, I think that the myth has been perpetrated about it being healthier because it comes from the types of people that are more likely to talk about veganism. So because of that, the consequence of them being more likely to talk about it means that you are more likely to have heard about it being healthier. So I'm talking about people like, you know, the Kardashians, for example, or, you know, Pamela Anderson, who I mentioned in my video, who go on social. I don't even know if the Kardashians are vegan. I don't think they are. But I'm just using them as an example of famous people.
Oh, okay.
They were the first famous people I could think of then. But I know Pamela Anderson, for example, for people of our age, will remember someone like that. She famously is quite outspoken about veganism.
Is she?
About the environment, animal, what's the term? Animal welfare. So she's quite outspoken. So she's on social media, she's on news outlets, she's on TV. Who else can you think of that's quite outspoken about vegan? I mean, I see loads of fitness influencers.
Wait, the man that was on the Really Wild show, what's his name?
Chris Packer.
Yeah. He's vegan and he talks a lot about it. But he talks more about like the animal welfare side of it rather than the health benefits.
Yeah. So he does it from an animal activist
Yeah.
perspective. So about animal rights, animal welfare,
Yeah.
which is fair enough. But yeah, he's quite outspoken.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I should have had a list of people really to kind of make this point. But my point is that I'm heavily involved with fitness and, you know, wanting to get stronger and better. So I watch loads of fitness influencers. I watch loads of videos, follow lots of people on Instagram. And it's very common that these individuals also talk about their diet, and quite a few of them talk about being vegan. So my point is that, or being plant-based, because my point is that they are more likely to care about their health, and because they care about their health, they're more likely to research and test different diets out to see what works for them. And plant-based seems to be incredibly popular within the fitness industry. And when I say plant-based, because I think plant-based is different to vegan.
Yeah.
So if you're vegan, you are doing it from a lifestyle perspective. So you're doing it as a holistic approach. So everything to do with being fit, being healthy, animal welfare, the environment. It's like
but
a
you
whole big
also,
circle.
when you're vegan, you remove all animal products from your life completely.
Yeah.
So in our house, anything, whether it's shampoos, conditioners, toothpaste, mouthwash, soaps, all of those things are all vegan friendly and have no animal products in them whatsoever.
Yeah.
Whereas plant-based, they still use the same regular shampoo they always used.
Yeah, and plant-based, I've heard people, I mean, it's a diet. So it's the same as the Atkins diet.
Yeah.
It's the same as the keto diet, carb-free diet. You know, people go plant-based. And I've heard people be on a plant-based diet but can still eat, dairy, for example, or consume dairy. They'll still be plant-based because their meals are predominantly meat-free. Mm. So
Deborah Meaden is famously plant-based, isn't she?
Yeah, because she I think that's a bit of a red herring, because she, for anyone that doesn't know, Deborah Meaden is one of the dragons on Dragon's Den, and we use her as an example of someone who isn't vegan, is plant-based.
Some people call it a fake vegan.
Yeah, I think that's a bit unfair.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't say to someone who is on the Atkins diet that they're, you know, a fake meat eater or a fake this or a fake that. I think that, you know, people's choices are people's choices. You know, before we turned vegan, I was a big meat eater.
Yeah. You wouldn't have ate a meal if it didn't contain meat.
Yeah. Unless 50% of the plate used to be alive, it wasn't a meal. It was a snack. And even then, it was a bad one.
Yeah.
So we use Deborah Meaden, going back to Deborah Meaden, we use her as an example of someone who isn't vegan but more plant-based, because she will invest in products that have animal products in them. In Dragon's Den, you see her, you know, she's big on the environment.
Yeah.
So she's plant-based, not for health reasons. She's plant-based for the environment, but she will also buy into things that have leather in them, for example, or will have something in like bees' honey, for example, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think that there is a distinction there between being vegan and being plant-based. So vegan is more to do with, you know, a whole lifestyle change. So as you mentioned there, not buying leather shoes, not buying wool, so clothing that has wool in them, cotton only, or synthetic materials, trying to avoid anything basically that has animal products in them where we can. Buying cosmetics, you mentioned.
Cosmetics, toiletries.
Yeah.
Hair products, skin products.
Yeah, that aren't tested on animals.
Yeah.
So I think there's a distinction there. So people that try plant-based do so from a health perspective, which is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with from trying to lose weight and get fit just to try a plant-based diet.
Yeah.
Are you with me?
Yeah. Yeah, it's different. It's two different things. I would have found more people if you'd have said.
What do you mean?
Like researched more people to talk about and their views, and the things they believe in and why they do it. We
probably should have done some homework before starting this podcast.
Yeah,
is what it is. But we need to talk about it from our experience. Just because we don't know other individuals, I mean, there are a load of people that are plant-based or vegan.
Yeah,
and I don't want to get bogged down in who said what. I don't want to get bogged down in whether you're vegan or plant-based. I just wanted I wanted to have a conversation around the distinction between the two, because there is a distinction. There is a difference.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with either. I mean, I think a lot of people, and I think it would have put me off as well, when we first turned vegan was 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. So we turned vegan in 2020. And that was in the video, because we actually 3 days into it, I filmed us after your first shop to Tesco's. And we was all excited because you'd found vegan mayo, which we didn't know existed.
No.
But before I turned vegan, I would have been put off by people that were actively trying to promote veganism as a better life choice. And I wouldn't do that.
No.
I wouldn't sit here and say to someone else, you mustn't be vegan.
You must be vegan.
No, you must be vegan. I wouldn't sit and say to someone, you mustn't eat meat.
No. Because it's their choice.
Yeah. Yeah. And if someone said to me, would you go back? My answer would be no. I'd stay being vegan. I wouldn't eat meat. I definitely wouldn't eat dairy.
No.
Definitely wouldn't eat dairy. I mean, that's one of the big things. People say to me, what's the hardest thing about being vegan? And they expect you to say, oh, giving up chicken or giving up steak or giving up a burger. Mm. We never struggled with that.
No.
That was the easy part.
Yeah.
Cutting meat out. Dairy was the hardest, wasn't it? And when I say dairy, we weren't big cheese eaters.
I don't, you say dairy, but that makes you think of like a block of cheese and a pint of milk. That's not the kind of dairy. That dairy is easy to cut out because you can buy your milk alternatives.
Not for all people.
But it's the hidden milk in things that you don't expect it to be in, like your salt and vinegar crisps.
Yeah.
You know, you should be able to just go buy some crisps, but some do have milk, some don't have milk.
Yeah.
That's the tricky bit, is that hidden milk that you don't expect to be in those products.
And there's loads of products that have milk in them. Someone actually put on my comments, they shared a brand of peanuts. There's some peanuts out there you can buy that have milk powder in them. So
have they got like a crispy shell or something?
Probably. But their point was exactly what you're saying, which is it's really hard to go out and buy products assuming they're, I mean, I've done that not a million times, I've done that a few times.
Yeah.
Come home with items that I thought were vegan and they're not.
You even did it with corn mince.
Yeah.
You'd bought corn mince thinking it'd be okay. It had egg and milk in it.
Yeah.
It was just meat free.
Yeah. And that's what makes cutting dairy out really hard. That's what I mean. I don't mean giving up. Yeah. We were never big cheese eaters. So we never ate.
No, not really.
We never ate loads of, I mean, I was never a massive fan of cheese. We used to give it a crack at Christmas.
Yeah, you have to, Christmas, with your cheese and crackers.
Yeah, because it was a done thing.
Yeah.
People did that. But we never finished it. I mean,
we
we
threw away cheese more than likely.
Yeah, we were never big cheese eaters. So giving cheese up wasn't hard. And also, they do vegan cheese. I mean, I will be honest, it's crap.
Some are better than others.
Yeah, you have to buy the expensive vegan cheese.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a big cheese lover. So I didn't like vegan cheese full stop when we first tried it, and I haven't eaten it since. I can't remember the last time I had vegan cheese. But going from what you talk about it, don't you? You have to buy the expensive stuff.
Yeah.
Because
the stuff that's made from coconut isn't very nice at all.
Yeah. What's the expensive stuff made from? Is it soy? Everything's soy. Meat alternatives are all soy, isn't it? Soy
or pea
beans.
Protein.
Or pea protein.
A lot of the meat alternatives that we eat now are pea protein.
Yeah, or soybeans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything's...
I'm not sure what the cheese is that we buy now. I mean, I can go check, but...
No, it's not that important. I was just interested. But
I just know that Scarlett never used to like real cheese at all. She hated it. But this one that I buy for her, she really likes it now.
Yeah. So from that perspective, giving up dairy, I found the hardest because, and I talked about this in the video, I'd find myself stood in an aisle reading the back of ingredients to try and work out whether it had milk or powdered milk, which is what a lot of shelf products have in them. For some strange reason. I don't know why they need milk in them. I mean, there's products that you pick up and you think to yourself, it makes 0 sense for why there would be milk in this. I can't
like your salt and vinegar crisps.
Yeah. Like, there's no need. I mean, it's potato, salt and vinegar.
Yeah,
and,
that's all it should be.
And some oils that they fry the the crisps in. So the fact that they put milk in it, I mean, there must be a bonding agent requirement or shelf life. I mean, but milk goes off. So if you wanted it to have shelf life, you wouldn't put milk in anyway. That was the struggle. We were in a place where we were having to read ingredients. I mean, you've now memorized pretty much every item in the supermarket, haven't you?
Yeah, but then supermarkets do change recipes. So one week we could buy something and it's perfectly acceptable, and then you go back the next week and suddenly they've put milk in it.
Yeah.
Like Scarlett's very upset that Costa Coffee now has milk powder in their hot chocolate.
Yeah.
So she can no longer have hot chocolate from Costa Coffee.
Yeah, so she has to get a different brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is annoying when because you do find your favourite brands and then stick with it, and then they change the recipe. The thing that I was really happy with when we discovered it, you discovered these wine gums.
Yeah.
I used to love wine gums. And for those that don't know, the thing that makes them non-vegetarian or vegan is that they have gelatin in them. And gelatin is pig's fat, isn't it?
Beef
gelatin.
Fat. So, well, you can there is beef gelatin and pork gelatin, but wine gums, it's usually the sweets, it's usually beef.
Yeah. Oh, it's an animal fat.
It's not fat.
I thought that's what it was.
No, they get the bones and they boil up the bones, and all that kind of like bone marrow solidifies.
What we've just been talking about, wine gums, salt and vinegar crisps, hot chocolate, probably goes a long way to proving the point, which is that being vegan isn't necessarily healthier. I mean, I was over the moon when I discovered vegan wine gums, because they were my favourites. But from a health perspective, it has been a game changer. I mean, I didn't say this in my video because I didn't want it to come across as veganism is the superior diet to any other diet. I mean, it's horses for courses. People just need to find what works for them.
Yeah.
I think where people get confused when it comes to dietary requirements is when they start talking about a diet working for them and they haven't tried something else. I think when they're in a world where 4 takeaways a month, you know, eating lunch at McDonald's or KFC every day, drinking to excess at weekends, not having enough of your not having 5 a day every day, which is, I'm describing myself. I'm describing how I used to eat.
Yeah.
And then saying, because you're still alive, because you haven't killed over yet, then saying, oh, well, my diet's fine. My diet works for me because you haven't tried anything else. And I'm talking from experience because that's what I used to eat. I used to have a takeaway every week. And because of my job, I was, you know, working 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours a day, depending on the day of the week, and didn't have time for lunch. So my lunch would either be non-existent, which is very unhealthy.
And you never ate breakfast?
Never ate breakfast.
Never.
Quite often I'd go the whole day without food.
Yeah.
And then I would have a huge dinner.
Yeah.
Wouldn't I? Which would normally consist, depending on what time I got home from work.
It'd also be fairly late as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the days I did eat during the day, it would be a KFC or McDonald's because it was quick and easy and cheap. I say cheap, it's not that cheap.
It's not cheap, no.
But, you know, it compared to a sit-down meal, it was a much easier way of doing things. And also, which is really dangerous, is the drive-through. So my job consisted of driving around as well, didn't it?
Yeah.
So I could
You was in the car most of the day.
Yeah. Not most of the day, but fairly often I'd be in the car. And I would easily just drive into a drive-through and it would save time, buy the food, sit in the car, and I can keep going. So I'm only losing 15, 20 minutes, which looking back on is incredibly unhealthy.
Yeah.
See, the amount of calories I was consuming every day was horrendous. And moving away, I mean, this is where veganism became healthier for me because it meant that I wasn't, even if I wanted to, which I didn't, because I was committed to trying to be healthy.
But we'd already decided to become healthier before we was vegan.
Yeah.
So we kind of had already adopted that mindset, and then that was just the next step.
Yeah. What was the reason we chose veganism?
Because you watched the Game Changers documentary on Netflix.
See, I've got a different memory to this. I remember, and you and Maddie's my oldest daughter, by the way. I remember having a conversation and Maddie saying that she wanted to try veganism.
No, because they still ate meat for maybe 2 months after we'd become vegan.
Maddie never.
Yeah,
Scarlett
she did. No, she did. And then maybe a little bit after that, Maddie then went to vegetarian first.
This is...
And Scarlett still ate meat. And then during lockdown, because there was no going out and buying food out, they only ate what we cooked for them at home. It was then that they both was then fully vegan and they stayed.
Yeah. I've got a different memory of this. And I don't know if it was the Mandela effect and my memories changed, or I'm just misremembering. But I remember having a conversation with Maddie and Maddie wanting to try veganism and me cracking a joke saying we'll give it a punt because it will make for a good video, which is why I filmed the early stages of us changing over to veganism. And I filmed those stages because I was going to make a video about, I tried veganism and this is what happened. Because I didn't expect to stay vegan. I fully expected to turn back.
I remember you watching the Game Changers by yourself. And then I came home from work and you was like, right, I want to be vegan. And then you made me watch it. And then after watching it, I kind of wanted to try it too.
Right.
But then the girls didn't do it straight away.
Do you know what the funny thing is, just mentioning Game Changers, because it's a fitness, for anyone that hasn't watched it, it's a documentary on Netflix. I think you can still watch it. It's been completely debunked as it being complete nonsense. I mean, it's just complete fitness propaganda. So ironic that it worked on us as a
but we was already in that mindset
force.
As to try and be healthier and
the thing for veganism that helped me was it removed all of the options to be tempted by. So even though McDonald's do vegan options, they're crap. And
Yeah, but
at the time,
they're only recent.
yeah,
though.
at the time they didn't exist.
No.
So when we turned vegan, even if I was having a bad day and fell off the wagon and rocked up at McDonald's, there wasn't an option for me to choose unless I decided to break being vegan. And I was committed to being vegan, so I wanted to give it.
And
a
you
pop.
don't have very good willpower.
I don't have. I am good at sticking to the rules though.
Yeah.
So if I've decided to be vegan, I would never eat meat,
No.
but I would go in and eat 27 Krispy Kreme donuts that are vegan.
Yeah.
So.
Because that's not against the rules, because
No.
they're still vegan.
And what I liked about veganism was the rules were very clear cut. Being healthy, the rules aren't clear.
No.
Because many a time I'd eat a meal thinking I was being really healthy. And then you'd look at the amount of calories I've just consumed, and it's more than I would have done if I'd have just had a bag of chips.
Yeah.
So the rules for being healthy aren't clear cut. If they're, and I think this is the...
And then you also fall into the trap where you've done a massive, great big race, you know, like your fan dance, and you burned however many 1,000 calories during that. So then you'll come home and you'll eat a whole tub of ice cream because, you know, you've lost all those calories, you've burnt them off. So in your mind, you think it's okay to eat that ice cream.
Yeah, but it is okay.
It's not okay.
It is.
It's not.
Yeah, but it is. No, because that's not fair for people that enjoy treats in moderation.
Yeah.
Like, loads of people do stuff for the benefit of being able to enjoy a treat on the back of it. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, if you go out and run a park run, and then have a 4,000 calorie Chinese for dinner, then you've wasted all of the benefit of the park run. Yeah, that's what
I mean.
Which I don't do that.
No.
Like
in your mind, you've made that okay. So you've done it that day, and then the next day, you know, you've still got half that tub of ice cream left. So you eat the other half, and then before you know it, you've eaten more than you should have, because you're still in that mindset of it's okay because I've done, you know, I've burned my 7,000 calories.
Yeah, but ice cream's a bad example because I have no willpower when it comes to ice cream. If it's in the freezer, I'm going to eat it.
No, so that's what I mean. That's what I was trying to get at with your willpower, that you don't have any.
So, yeah, but I don't buy it. That's why I don't buy ice cream. There's no ice cream in our freezer.
No, not right now.
No, because if there was, I'd eat it.
You'd eat it, yeah.
Yeah.
So it means none of the rest of us get ice cream.
Yeah.
What are the hard bits about being vegan that you don't like?
I don't like having to stand in. I'm still in the place where I haven't memorised the ingredients like you have. Like, you can go into a supermarket and do a whole shop and not have to read an ingredient on the back of a packet unless you're in doubt that they might have changed the recipe. But then you follow vegan groups on Facebook and Instagram where they will share brands,
new products.
Yeah, new products and brands that have changed.
Yeah.
So you're really good with that. I don't. I'm terrible.
Most of the time, if somebody posts something on there that's a new product that's accidentally vegan, it's not listed as vegan, it's got nothing in it that makes it non-vegan, I will actively find it in the supermarket to try it, regardless of what it is, whether it's, you know, a new bar of chocolate or, you know, a ready meal or...
Can I just say, we haven't pointed out a single healthy item that we buy. So far, we've covered ice cream, Krispy Kreme donuts, hot chocolate, wine gums, and the two examples you just gave there was chocolate, bar of chocolate, and what was the other thing you just said?
A ready meal.
A ready meal.
Whatever it is.
Famously healthy.
I was just trying to think of things off the top of my head.
Right, name something healthy quickly.
Well, like tofu.
Tofu.
Like if there's a new one out that I've not seen before, like originally when we was first vegan, you could only get the plain, bland, unflavoured tofu, but now you can get it so it's flavoured and you don't have to do anything to it.
Yeah.
So I actively went and sought those out in the supermarket because somebody had posted them and I didn't know they existed. And that's a great meat alternative.
Yeah, tofu is. I'm a huge fan of tofu. I would have tofu over fake meat.
Yeah.
That's probably quite a good segue now to talk about fake meat. Fake meat.
Yeah.
We call it fake meat, but it's
meat alternative.
Meat alternatives. This is the I'm about to say scientific term, but it's the branding term, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's what supermarkets call fake meat.
Yeah.
Meat alternatives. So meat alternatives, for people that don't know, are, what are they?
Well, it's fake meat.
Yeah.
It's either things tofu.
No, I wouldn't include tofu.
No, so it's like the pieces
'Cause tofu,
that you would use as chicken.
Yeah, I just want to say on the subject of tofu, I'm a huge fan of tofu if it's cooked right. Tofu can be really rubbery. It can be like eating a sponge if it's not cooked right. But if it's cooked
and
well,
really bland.
Yeah, if it's cooked well, it's really nice. But it's the same as anything. You know, if chicken's cooked badly, it's
bland
and dry. So, you know, it's the same with anything. So I'm a huge fan of tofu, but I don't think tofu is fake meat. And what is tofu made from?
Tofu is a byproduct of soya milk.
Yeah. So
they get the soya beans and they soak them in water, and the water is what's used for soya milk, and then the beans that's left is what they make into tofu.
I'm a huge fan of tofu as a replacement of meat in a meal. So if I have like a ramen,
I've made curry with it before.
Curries, and we've gone to restaurants. Like we go to Wagamama. Wagamama is one of our favorite restaurants. I say ours, it's mine. You take it or leave it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But I love Wagamama. And if Wagamama, if you're watching this, I am open to sponsorship deals. And if you just want to give me some freebies, I'm happy for that. But that I would have tofu in my ramen.
Yeah.
In Wagamama happily, and mushrooms.
Well, they're alternatives to their meat dishes. You either have it with tofu or mushrooms.
Yeah, mushrooms. I'm a huge fan of mushrooms.
Yeah.
I never used to like mushrooms as much as I do. I used to enjoy a mushroom, but as a fry up, I would have it with my fried breakfast. And now I would eat mushrooms with every meal.
Yeah. We pretty much do, to be fair.
There's two things I'd eat with every meal without fail. Can you guess one of them's mushrooms? Can you guess what the other is? That's not good for me. Well, it's not bad for bread. So nothing's good for you if you eat it in excess. Nothing. No. You know, I don't know, carrots. Carrots famously make you see in the dark, as my nan would say. If I ate carrots, 15 carrots
every day,
it probably wouldn't do me any good.
No.
I don't know. I haven't tested. There was a YouTuber I watched. I'm going off on a tangent now, but there's a YouTuber I follow, and his name's Bo Miles. And he makes fitness videos, but he does them in really weird ways. So he doesn't just go out and do like a video like I do, like running over a mountain with a heavy backpack. He'll turn them into some kind of environmental challenge. So he did a thing where he ran a marathon, but he had to complete the marathon and plant 100 trees while doing it. He did another one where he had to run a marathon again, or an ultra marathon, but on the way he had to pick up every item of litter he saw. And I really like his videos. But he did a video where he lived on baked beans for, I think it was something like 3 months, just lived every day on baked beans. Because he loves beans. And there's a heavy marketing campaign to say that beans are good for you. And, you know, Heinz used to have they were classed as one of the 5 a day. So they're considered healthy. I mean, Heinz beans were in my video that I made about them being one of the 5 a day. And he just ate them every day. He did. Do you remember that Supersize Me?
Yeah, where he just ate McDonald's every day.
I'm going to make a video about that, by the way, because it's come out of the wash that when he was filming that. So that massively transformed the fast food industry. On the back of his documentary, he made that in 2008, I think. On the back of that documentary, McDonald's got rid of their supersize meals.
Did they?
In America. Like, we never really had them in this country, but it was a big thing in America. And because that documentary had such huge ripple, I mean, he won so many awards for that documentary because it opened the America, especially in America, where they've got a huge obesity problem. It opened the eyes of the public to how unhealthy McDonald's is. And it was a really good documentary, very entertaining, but it came out in the wash. He was a raving alcoholic when he was making it. And the whole point of the documentary was that he would eat breakfast, lunch and dinner every day.
Yeah, in McDonald's.
And he would always supersize it. And it was the documenting of his gradual decline in health over that period that made the documentary so powerful. And it's now come out in the wash, what people are now saying is that his alcoholism at the time contributed to how rough and ill he was.
Oh, so he was still drinking?
Yeah.
So it wasn't a true
I mean,
representation of McDonald's.
I should say, because I am putting this out publicly, allegedly, because, you know, I haven't actually done any
no proof,
real research, but I am going to. I'm going to make a video about it because that documentary had a huge impact on me. Not enough that it made me change anything in 2008. I wish it did. But looking back on it now, it's one of those benchmark documentaries in the fitness world, in the health industry, that change things. Very rarely you will see a documentary come out.
I mean, I don't remember any other documentaries I watched in 2008.
No. But everyone knows the Super Size Me documentary.
He did other ones, didn't he?
He did. He did some crazy ones. So he did Super Size Me 2, where he kind of repeated it, and that was more to do with the how they market their food as being healthy for you, by having pictures of like happy cows with a sunlit background on the
100%
walls.
100% real beef.
100% real beef, all that sort of jazz. And it's just painting a picture that makes everything look healthy and good. So he did that, but then he did some other ones where he was like trying to hunt down Bin Laden.
Oh.
He made some crazy documentaries. I think the awards for that first one really kind of made him think that he could change the world with every documentary. And he did some crazy stuff. But anyway, my point is, I watched this Bo Miles, I watched that documentary is another one where people change their eating habits and see how it impacts on their health. And I think if you eat, and this comes back to my point, which is moderation in moderation, everything in moderation. So if you eat healthily every day but have a balanced approach to it, you can have the odd treat here and there. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as the treats don't become the norm. And as long as just eating carrots every day don't become the norm. So there's kind of a middle ground, isn't there? Yeah. And this comes back to my point, which is my two favourite things, mushrooms and bread. I'd eat mushrooms with every meal. Which
we pretty much do.
Yeah.
Managed to incorporate a mushroom in there somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, our daughter hates mushrooms.
Much to Scarlett's disgust.
Yeah. So she hates mushrooms.
It's the only thing she hates.
Yeah. Which as a vegan is a big dilemma because
because we all love them.
Yeah.
She gets overruled.
And everything's made from mushroom, everything. So if you're not eating it in its raw form, then
mushroom burger, mushroom hot dogs.
Mushrooms in everything. Same as pea protein and soya beans, and then bread. I could eat bread for England. I could be an Olympic bread eater.
In any form.
In any form, I'll eat bread, whether it be pretzel, brioche. Brioche isn't vegan, is it?
No, you can get vegan versions, but it's quite hard to come by.
White bread, brown bread, rolls,
baguette,
French
stick,
croissants.
Yeah, croissants aren't bread though.
I love croissants because it's like bread.
Yeah.
Bagels.
Yeah, you like bagels.
I love a bagel. I mean, we could just spend the next 15 minutes listing bread items. I want some bread now. I love bread. But the problem is with bread is it carbs you right up. So it's not great for weight loss. Good for energy. Great if you're running a marathon. You know, I've got a marathon this weekend.
It's not good for calorie intake.
No. High in calories, yeah.
Yeah,
especially
like
white
even
bread.
Normal just sliced bread is like 100 calories a slice.
So, you know, so we've got in the freezer my favourite croissants, my favourite treat snack.
Yeah.
Which is a Pret croissant.
Yeah.
Vegan Pret croissant. Which they make frozen.
And you have to put them in the oven.
Yeah, and they come out in these big French vegan puffy croissants.
Yeah.
And they're really nice. 400 calories each.
Yeah.
400 calories each.
And you could eat all 6 in one go.
Easily. I could sit and eat all 6 happily.
But that's your whole day's worth of calories gone.
Plus the rest.
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot of calories. Just in a croissant. Anyway, so
the 2 things you love.
The 2 things I love. But the question was, what's the hardest?
Yeah.
So the hardest is standing in supermarket aisles, reading the backs of ingredients, not sure if that's vegan or not. Restaurants. Not necessarily restaurants, because most restaurants do have a vegan option. They're rubbish.
They are usually rubbish.
Really bad. Which is why I love Wagamama.
I find when you're out and you just want a lunch, you don't want to go to a restaurant and sit down for an evening meal. If you're just out shopping for the day and you just want some lunch, there is no choices there. No, if you just rock up somewhere unplanned, that's the worst. So one of our favourite locations to go to is, this is going to make us sound incredible, it's going to make us sound a bit strange really, but we like to go to
Westfield supermarket, Westfield shopping centre,
Yeah.
don't we, in Stratford?
Yeah.
Because it's in East London. So when you go there, easy to get to. When I say East London, it's easy to get to by train.
Yeah.
And you get the whole food court. So it's like an American food court, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because when we went to New York, one of the favourite places we used to enjoy, and we weren't vegan in New York,
No,
were
we
we?
wasn't.
So we weren't bound by having to find special restaurants. But one of our favourite places for lunch was Grand Central
Yeah.
Station, because they had a huge food court that had different
Yeah.
street food. So you had curry, Chinese, hot dogs, burgers, chicken, the whole shebang, everything.
So we could all have something different. We didn't
Yeah.
all have to eat the same food. Whereas
Yeah.
you'd eat a curry,
Yeah,
the girls would have a pizza.
yeah. There was loads of choice.
Yeah.
And we used to like having that kind of canteen choice.
Yeah.
Sitting there at the same table, we're all having different food. So we do that occasionally as a treat, don't we? Once
Yeah.
in a blue moon, a few times a year, we'll go to Stratford Westfield and sit in the food court upstairs that's got pretty much every food item from around the world
Yeah.
that you can choose from. And we sit there and we get a pizza, we get ramen,
Yeah.
we get chicken burgers, and
We had bao buns this time.
bao buns,
Noodles.
and we kind of just share it, don't we?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of food.
It is a lot of food.
It's a gluttonous way of eating, but it's all vegan as well. And because of that, we get to pick and choose, because there's restaurants there that have no vegan choices. I mean, there's a Chinese restaurant that we would, not I say restaurant, it's a street food stall that we would love to choose from, because we used to like a Chinese.
Yeah, we love
But they had no
Chinese.
vegan options. I mean, the only vegan option they've got is plain noodles.
Yeah.
And they can't even cook it in their oil because it's not vegan.
No.
It's like beef oil or something. So, yeah, so there's options and choice. That's one of the favourite things we enjoy doing, don't we? But from a vegan perspective, so let me ask you the same question then. What would you consider to be the hardest thing about being vegan? So I mentioned about standing in the aisle, reading ingredients, and having choice at restaurants. Because, hang on, before you answer, I didn't actually answer the point. But with restaurants, I just want to mention about restaurants. So with restaurants, their choices are always the same thing,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Yeah.
Then they don't.
It's a falafel wrap.
Yeah, a falafel wrap or a stuffed mushroom.
Yeah.
Not both. So you go to one restaurant and it'll be a falafel wrap.
Yeah.
You go to another restaurant, it'll be a stuffed mushroom. But you can guarantee it'll be one of the two.
Or if it's like somewhere where you can just buy a sandwich,
Yeah,
you know,
that'll be a falafel wrap.
it will always be a falafel wrap.
Yeah.
If it's a sandwich bar or somewhere that sells sandwiches plus other stuff,
Yeah.
you ask them if they've got a vegan option and they say, yeah, we do. Okay, what is it? It's a falafel wrap.
Yeah,
And I've got nothing against a falafel wrap. I just want more choice than a falafel wrap.
yeah.
I quite like falafel and I love wraps. I just don't want that every single
It's just a
time we
weird,
go out.
I don't dislike falafel. I wouldn't choose it as option at home. So if I was making myself a sandwich or a snack or a lunch or a salad, I wouldn't put falafel in it because it's just crumbly. It's like eating brick dust. And it just doesn't do anything for me. I don't dislike it. If it was on my plate, I wouldn't throw the food away. I'd eat it. Not a problem. I wouldn't complain. But when I go to a supermarket, it's just a weird thing to put in a sandwich. It's like it's crumbly.
Yeah.
It's like eating a Cadbury's chocolate flake
But there's just
without,
no other option.
without the nice chocolatey flavour.
There's just no other option.
No, there isn't. There isn't. And then the classic, when we go Tesco's, this always cracks me up. Is it Tesco's or is it Sainsbury's? I can't remember now. But a classic, which is falafel and hummus
Yeah.
in a wrap.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the messiest. I mean, you wouldn't want to eat that in a suit on your way to an interview,
No.
would you? A falafel and hummus wrap. It goes everywhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah, choices in restaurants are poor at the moment.
Yeah.
Choices in supermarkets in 2024, more choice than you could ever shake a stick at.
Yeah. And the most common thing people ask me, even when we was in TUI the other day, the lady said to me, well, what do you eat then? And I said to her, I eat the same food as you. I just don't eat it with meat in it. I eat it with an alternative or just as vegetables.
Yeah.
That's what we get asked
Yeah.
the most, isn't it?
Yeah. And I
Well,
bet
what do you eat?
Yeah, what do you eat? Do you eat a lettuce leaf?
Yeah.
No, love.
I eat the same
Yeah.
food as you.
I still eat a spaghetti bolognese that you
Yeah.
had last night. I just don't put mince in it.
Yeah.
I put lentils in it.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah.
the one thing you get asked the most.
Yeah. Yeah, it is strange how people see veganism. It is seen as an alien concept. And to be fair, I can understand that because I used to think of it that way. I used to think of it as being very extreme, incredibly hard for people that were hippies.
If I saw a vegan symbol on something, I'd say, oh no, I'm not eating that.
Yeah.
Because I'd think it was...
full of chemicals.
Yeah, weird food that's not for normal people.
Yeah.
But that's being uneducated and not understanding.
Whereas in reality, this is not in every case, but in reality, if you see a vegan label on something, it's where they've actually removed things rather than put things in it.
Yeah. I bet if you opened our kitchen cupboards and anybody listening to this opened their kitchen cupboards,
you see the same things.
50% of the products would be in both cupboards.
Yeah. The only things that you wouldn't see in our house are animal products.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't see a joint of beef in the freezer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have the same ketchup, the same brown sauce,
Yeah.
the same gravy granules.
Yeah. Gravy granules.
Yeah.
The thing that blew my mind about veganism was an item of food that I never realised. I would have thought would never be vegan in a million years. Oreo cookies.
Yeah.
Oreos. I mean, I don't eat Oreo cookies.
No, I don't like them.
But Scarlett loves them.
Yeah, she does.
And, there's always a packet of Oreo cookies in the cupboard.
Yeah.
And they look the milkiest product on the market. But they've got no dairy in them at all.
None whatsoever.
They're completely vegan. And they're accidentally vegan because they're not marketed as vegan.
No, they're not advertised.
Yeah, it's just the
labelled.
recipe doesn't have animal product.
Yeah.
So they can be eaten.
Yeah.
Okay.
But a plain digestive,
has
that's
milk.
the plainest biscuit in the world, has got milk in it.
Yeah, I can't.
Not all of them. Some supermarkets do, some don't.
It makes no sense. It does drive me mad when you look at a product like corn mince. I mean, I made that mistake.
Yeah.
I went to the supermarket and bought corn mince to make a...
Corn.
What am I saying?
Corn. It's got a U in it.
Okay, corn mince. I went to the supermarket to make a bolognese for us. Yeah, they're not vegan, are they? And when I got home, I'd already cooked it, hadn't served it, and you asked me what mince I bought.
Yeah, because it looked different to what we normally had.
Yeah, and it was corn.
Yeah.
Corn. How am I saying
corn.
it? Corn. And it's not vegan. It's got milk in it.
And egg.
And egg.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. You may as well just have Bambi's blood in it.
The corn products, in Tesco's, they have one whole freezer section all full of corn products, but there's probably only 3 or 4 out of that whole freezer that are actually vegan friendly.
Yeah,
most of them have milk and egg in.
I don't understand that. So like even Linda McCartney.
Yeah, not all of her stuff is vegan friendly.
Yeah,
but about 75% of it is.
Yeah, just go the whole hog. Just make everything vegan. So then you're opening it up to both markets, vegetarian and vegan.
Yeah.
Which, I get the vegetarians still want to have their cheese. And if I took 2 products, one being corn mince, for example, and one being just standard supermarket vegan branded mince.
Yeah.
So fake meat.
Yeah.
And I gave it to a vegetarian and said, right, tell me which one has milk and eggs in. If it was a blind taste test, I don't think
they wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah, I don't think they'd be able to tell the difference. So my point is just, food manufacturers remove the egg and the milk from your products and go the whole hog and make it open it up to both vegan and vegetarians.
Yeah. Because if you're going to go meat free, then you might as well go dairy free
I understand. I understand if there's like sandwiches that are advertised as vegetarian that have cheese in them.
Yeah.
A cheese sandwich. I get that. That makes sense because
cheese and onion normally.
Yeah, whatever. But if it's got cheese in it, I understand that. Vegetarians don't want to give up their cheese. No problem. You crack on. But,
which is usually why people are vegetarian and not vegan in the first place.
Yeah, because they just want to cut out the meat.
Yeah.
But again, I would say if you're going to do something that doesn't openly have cheese or dairy as its core component, it isn't a meal that has cheese or dairy, go the whole hog.
Yeah.
Make it all vegan. And if it's a product that can easily be vegan, make it vegan. Because when you see the things like beef gravy granules or Oreo cookies, 2 examples, there's no reason. If you looked at them as a product and they had beef in the beef gravy granules and it had milk in the Oreo cookies, you wouldn't say to the manufacturer, well, that's ridiculous, because you'd look at them and go, well, that seems logical.
Yeah.
That those products are in there.
Gravy granules that are intended to be poured over meat, have a meat product in, you wouldn't think that was strange.
That are advertised as beef gravy or chicken gravy granules. They're advertised as such. So if it's got chicken in it or extract or they've been cooked in or however.
So going back to the crisps analogy, so we can eat roast chicken flavoured crisps, but the salt and vinegar crisps still have milk
or
in.
bacon frazzles.
Bacon frazzles, yeah.
They're vegan.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
But the salt and vinegar crisps
have milk.
Yeah.
Or prawn cocktail.
Yeah.
Prawn cocktail don't have any shellfish.
No.
At all. You can eat them.
Yeah.
Completely vegan. Again, we're not doing very good on explaining how healthy the vegan diet is, because every food product we've talked about isn't the healthiest. But what we have
But it's good. But we're doing a comparison as to what makes something vegan and what's not.
Yeah.
And the things that you wouldn't expect to be vegan are.
I think for me, the thing that's changed the most over the last 4 years, when we first turned vegan 4 years ago, we went for exactly the same meals that we used to eat. Exactly. And we haven't really changed, but we have invented, or we have introduced new types of foods that we eat now that we never used to eat. But back in the day, 4 years ago, we used to eat exactly the same food. We just removed the meat and replaced it with fake meat.
Yeah.
So we would go to the supermarket and buy, the fake chicken, the fake hams, the fake this, the fake that, and we'd put it in the meal instead of the meat.
Yeah.
So we'd make a curry, and instead of using chicken, we would use a brand called This Isn't Chicken.
Yeah.
Make a bolognese, instead of using fresh mince, we would use Tesco's or Sainsbury's own branded vegan mince.
Yeah.
Whereas now, if we make a bolognese, like we had bolognese last night, and instead of using fake meat, what did you use?
Green lentils.
Green lentils, which, very nice. In fact, I would go as far as to say that's much better version of bolognese.
I preferred it.
Green lentils. And it's no processed food in it at all.
In the past, so when we was first vegan, I'd tried doing things like that then, using those kind of products instead of the fake meats, and you didn't like them.
No, because it
was too much of a change too quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. I just couldn't process the concept of not having... It's like when you quit smoking. When I quit smoking, I used to smoke years ago, and when I quit smoking...
That was like 25 years ago.
Yeah. And when I quit smoking, one of the hardest things, obviously the nicotine withdrawal was the hardest, and then the second hardest is knowing what to do. Is the habit, not knowing what to do with your fingers or your hands.
All those vape things didn't exist then either.
No, and there weren't smoking alternatives.
No.
So vaping never existed. So having the time to go outside and have a cigarette, I didn't know what to do with myself. It's the same with the meat. We'd given up the meat, but missing it in a meal felt very strange and alien.
Yeah.
Felt very weird. Having a roast dinner without a massive lump of meat on the plate felt very unusual. So I kind of got to the point where I no longer wanted a roast dinner anymore.
No, you refused.
Yeah. I didn't refuse.
Wow.
But I didn't want to have a roast dinner.
No. Well, because the main part of the roast dinner is the meat, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So it was a tough transition.
Yeah.
That was the hard bit. And then buying the fake meat, they're heavily processed. So all these products, the fake chicken that we put into meals, we still have them occasionally, but we're trying to make it so as we don't even eat them now.
Yeah, trying to take it to the next level.
Yeah, and that's where it becomes a lot healthier as a diet.
Yeah.
Because then you're removing all of the processed stuff.
Because the processed fake meats are just as processed and unhealthy as the processed meats, like your chicken nuggets and, those kind of products.
Yeah. And we don't know what's going in them. We don't know what it's doing to our bodies. Mm-hmm. So we've made a decision, like the bolognese last night, we will try and eat that with lentils. We try to eat more grains now, more rice.
Beans, pulses.
Yes.
Use beans and pulses as the alternative rather than the fakes. And
where we do have a cheat meal, like a curry, which is quite high in calories because there's a lot of carbs and a lot of rice, a lot of bread, and a lot of side dishes that go with meals like that. We try and use vegetables. So I'll have a vegetable madras, for example.
Tofu or tempeh.
Yep, tiny tempeh. Yeah.
No, just tempeh.
He was a rapper from like 2010. Tiny Tempeh.
I don't
remember him?
No.
Okay.
I don't know
I went
music.
straight over that. What was the hardest thing for you then when we turned vegan? other than remembering how the conversation came about because it was Maddie mentioning it to me.
Well, other than that, yeah, so the hardest bit was initially the shopping, because I was responsible for the food shopping. But once I got used to that, I can shop easy now.
Yeah. That's easier for you than it is for me now.
Yeah, it's because you don't really do much of the food shop.
Oh, no. I am there.
Yeah.
I'm present.
In body.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
It is the choice.
That's mainly because I'm spent most of the time stood in the middle of the aisle reading the back of a packet of soup.
Yeah.
Working out whether or not tomato soup is vegan.
Cup of soup, actually. I wish there was a vegan cup of soup.
Well, I'm stood in the cereal aisle trying to work out whether I'm allowed my shreddies.
No,
I know.
Cereals.
That's because I stood there and read
Most cereals have vitamin D in.
Yeah. Oh, vitamin D.
Vitamin D.
This blew my mind. I'm standing there trying to work out why vitamin D isn't vegan.
So vitamin D contains lanolin, which is the oil found in sheep's wool.
Yeah. So it's an animal product.
Yeah.
From farmed animals. So this is the other thing that people can't get their heads around. When they hear that we don't consume wool in our clothes, we don't buy wool in clothes or leather. Leather is an obvious one because the animal has to be dead for us to use its skin. It can't.
But sheep don't have
to die for us to use their wool. But they're still farmed in mass. Yeah. In large numbers.
And ultimately their babies are taken away and killed for food.
Yeah. When you paint that picture, but it's the whole ecosystem around it. Yeah, it's not necessarily the fact that animal there that the wool came off is still alive. It doesn't mean that it will be in a week from now, and a month from now, and a year from now, and also its offspring is taken away to be slaughtered, and it's the whole farming.
It's the same with honey.
Yeah,
the bees don't have to die.
No,
but we are then taking the honey away from them. Yeah. And it's their product that they've made to feed
their colony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're taking it.
Brian Connolly. How do you say it? I can't pronounce it. Connolly. I'm saying
Connolly. I don't know now. You've confused me. Colony.
Yeah. Not Brian Connolly. Connolly. Sean Connery. So I mean, look, it's the whole thing that goes around if as a human race, as society, I should say, not as a human race. So if us as a society consume significantly less animal products, then there wouldn't be the need for animal agriculture on the scale that it is at the moment. Mm-hmm. So it means that the land can be given back to other purposes. Yeah. So from an environmental perspective, it's much better. It also means that there's less waste because, farming produces huge amounts of industrial waste and agricultural waste, and also food is a big, I'm not going down the road of waste, that's a big rabbit hole that could be a whole other podcast, and I don't want to get into the environmental side of things because that's not what this is about. This is I'm a fitness YouTuber and podcaster now, hopefully, and I don't want to go down the route of talking about just the environment, but it is an interesting subject when you start thinking about it. Yeah. And the whole ecosystem around animal farming is interesting, which is, I never thought about at all. I mean, we're completely we're completely detached from where our food comes from as a society. Yeah. Like we see food appear on our children, when we eat meat, they would see a leg of lamb appear on the table. They had no idea where that food has come from. I mean, no. It's if you said to a child, how did that leg of lamb get onto the table, then they could probably recognize that it used to be alive as a lamb or sheep, but the process it's gone through, they couldn't even compute, and they wouldn't want to. You wouldn't want to put them through that, really.
That is pretty torturous.
Yeah, but that's society, isn't it? Yeah. Whereas 200, 300, 400 years ago, we would have been part of that process. That process would have been us going outside, slaughtering the animal we're about to eat.
Whereas now we just go to the supermarket and buy the finished product.
Yeah, and it's easier for us now to consume processed food as well, because it's so much easier and cheaper and, quicker. Yeah, convenience. That's the big thing, convenience.
Yeah, there's not a lot of convenience about being vegan. Like if you want to go down the whole foods, which is what we're trying to do, eat more whole foods. Yeah. There isn't much convenience about that.
We're trying to eat less processed. And it's not easy because from a convenience perspective, that's not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot more time to make a meal from scratch than it is to buy the ingredients pre-processed and just throw it into a
into the pan. Yeah.
And go for it. Before we conclude, I just want to quickly touch on health. So we've been vegan now for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most common questions I get asked is, do I feel healthier? And I touched on this in the video, but I don't think I went the whole way to say, I mean, I did say in the video, would I go back? No, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
I think if I was to put it on a scale, we changed 4 years ago. I quit alcohol, changed what I ate. So I stopped eating fast food. I stopped eating sugar. I gave up crap, for lack of a better term, in the interest of time. And we went vegan. We didn't all do it at the same time. No. I gave up alcohol first because I knew that if I didn't do that, then everything else would have been a waste of time.
Yeah.
Because I was consuming far too much alcohol. So we turned vegan 4 years ago, and it'll be 5 years this Jan.
Yeah.
And from a health perspective, how do you feel now versus 4 years ago?
I wouldn't say I feel much different, but I am a lot more conscious of what I am eating.
Yeah.
Because I'm checking what I'm eating to see if it's vegan. At the same time, I'm doing that check. Actually, this isn't very healthy. Even though it's vegan, I'll put it back.
Yeah.
Rather than just that quick grab eat. I am conscious of everything I'm eating now.
Yeah, it does. It's a weird one because people say just assume that because you've given up meat and dairy that you are naturally healthier. And that's not the case. We've already explained that you can literally buy exactly the same foods, unhealthy version.
At the beginning, when we was first vegan, I'm going to use chocolate as an example because back 4 years ago, there wasn't as many chocolate bars available as there was now. So as soon as I found one that was vegan, I'd buy it and eat it just to try it.
Yeah.
Just because it was vegan. And then I fell down that rabbit hole of then consuming quite a lot of chocolate because I'd found one.
Whereas you wouldn't have consumed more chocolate if you hadn't been vegan.
No. Because it had just been there on the shelf and I wouldn't have cared.
It was a novelty.
It was because it was there, because it was vegan.
We're still guilty of that now. We do fall for the novelties.
Yeah.
When we see something. I mean, it's how I discovered the Pret croissants.
Yeah.
400 calorie a pop. They're not healthy at all.
No.
But they're great for...
they're just delicious.
Yeah, they are, yeah. I'm trying to justify it. I mean, I was about to say they're great for marathons. I will eat 4 of them this Sunday morning before I run a marathon.
Yeah.
And that gives me all the calories. And I'll also have a bowl of porridge and I'll eat something on the way because I'm going to burn, when I run a marathon, I'll burn 4,000 calories.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm eating 4,000 calories in a day, that day. So they're great for that. But... they're not healthy at all.
No.
But we do fall for the trick of the novelties. So when we do Veganuary...
Yeah. Veganuary's quite
it's a tough month for us.
Because everyone's doing vegan things then.
Yeah, and there's loads of new stuff that comes out the wash.
Yeah.
That comes out, that appears on the shelf.
Because everyone puts an effort in for Veganuary.
Yeah.
The companies that don't normally have any products suddenly have got a massive, great big range. And then we want them all because they're only available for such a short period of time and they'll be gone, never to be seen again.
Yeah, and we do buy them and put them in the freezer. Vegan ice cream is the worst. As soon as we see a new...
you.
Yeah, me. I've got an issue with ice cream. Giving up meat and dairy doesn't automatically make you healthier, just in the act itself, like it does with smoking and alcohol. But because you can buy the vegan versions of the same product with just as much processed crap in it, all the bad stuff that you'd get from a bad meat and dairy diet. But what veganism does do, and this has got to be the takeaway from this conversation, this has got to be the thing that I would say to anybody, what has veganism done for you that it could do for me? The one thing is, it's educated us. Mm-hmm. It's educated us about what's in food. The fact that we know that what goes into our cereal, the fact that we know what goes into our bread. I mean, bread. I couldn't believe this. I mean, I'm going to sound like Eddie Hebdo here. I don't know if anyone knows. Eddie Hebdo is this fitness influencer. Oh. Very aggressive. Not my cup of tea. Oh. I'm going to be politically correct here and say, because it's public, he's not my cup of tea. He's on Instagram and he basically just goes around supermarkets swearing and shouting into the camera about why are you eating this. And his point is right. He'll pick up like a can of Monster drink and go, this is advertised at kids because it's going to give you energy. And it lists, and then he goes through all the ingredients, and he does put it on Instagram, and he, you know, but he's very aggressive with it. He's very judgmental about the people that consume this stuff. His point's right. I suppose his methods, I don't agree.
Wrong.
Yeah, I don't agree with his methods. However, this is why I'm going to sound a bit like him, but I was looking, he does it with bread, is what reminded me. And he actually, funny enough, he was the reason I started looking at the ingredients on bread. So I was picking up these white loaves that I consume a lot of. I consume a lot of white bread, and I really shouldn't. But when you read the ingredients, what should go into bread? Yeast,
flour
and water. So there should be 3 ingredients. You look on the back of these white loaves that you buy in off the shelf. I'm not talking about the fresh stuff that's baked that day. It's a list as long as your arm. I mean, that shouldn't be in bread. And that's all stuff to make it last a week. Because bread lasts, 24 hours? If you buy a fresh
loaf, yeah.
If you buy a fresh bloomer from the baker on the high street,
yeah,
uncut, that's going to last you 24 hours, isn't it?
Yeah,
Before it's like
much.
A doorstop. It's like a bomb being dropped then, isn't it?
It's rock hard.
Yeah.
You can't eat it.
No. So the white loaves that come off the shelf should only last you 24 hours, but they don't. And there's a reason for that. The ingredients. So that's what anyway, I'm sounding like Eddie Hebdo now, but my point is, don't fucking eat that stuff. But that's what he's like. He shouts it. I'm not doing it justice. You should go and watch I'm going to show you his Instagram. But my point is that that's what it's done. It's educated us to know what's in our food.
Yeah.
Hasn't it?
Yeah.
And that's the biggest takeaway we've got. Excuse the pun. That's the biggest takeaway we've got from being vegan.
Yeah. It just kind of makes you feel good as well. You know you're doing your bit for the environment.
Yeah.
For yourself, for the planet.
Makes you high and mighty. Makes you feel all judgmental on those that aren't. Is that what you're saying?
No.
On your high horse. You're just a vegan extremist. That's your problem. Forcing other people.
I've never forced anything on anyone.
You're that one at parties going around tutting when someone's tucking into their burger, aren't you? And the barbecue, the family barbecue. Oh, I've told you about this before. All right. Have you enjoyed doing this podcast?
No.
This has been very stressful. Right. Anything you want to add?
I don't know.
If you could go back 4 years and change the decision we made, would you change it?
No.
Would you still be vegan?
Yeah, I think so.
What would you do differently if you had to do something differently?
I would have done it sooner.
Being vegan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have. But that's hindsight's 2020. I'd have given up. I wouldn't have started on alcohol the way I did. I mean, I've never really gone and made a video about this, but I had an issue, didn't I?
Yeah.
With alcohol.
Yeah.
Big time.
It became dependent on it.
Yeah. Well, more than that. I think you're being polite there.
Well,
but
we are putting this out there.
I know. Well, listen.
I don't know how much you want to put out.
Well, I've been quite honest with my videos. I mean, I've made it light-hearted because nobody wants to listen to my doom and gloom sob story. But my point is, I would have given up alcohol years ago.
If you'd have known that where you'd have ended up 10 years beforehand, you wouldn't have got there, but you didn't get there overnight.
No. It was a great, exactly. It's a whole life of wrong choices. That's how I would describe the last 25 years. A life of wrong choices. I wish I could go back to my teenage years and start down the road I started down 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, we was both pretty unhealthy. We had we had children, especially, because we was eating in restaurants 2 or 3 times a week. We was a takeaway at least once or twice a week. Yeah, because that fitted the lifestyle that we led back then. Well, I'd go back to then and make these changes now. Yeah, the ones that I'd lived this life then, but then. Would we have ever got to this place to make this decision? You never know. I'm annoyed that I discovered the benefits of being fit and healthy so late in life. Yeah. I discovered it when I was 39. I'm 44 now. Yeah. I wished I discovered it when I was 19, 18. But then would you have, that's the thing, would you have then known the benefits of it? What happened at 39 that made me realise
the benefits.
Because you knew you couldn't carry on the way you was.
Yeah, I had to make
So
change.
you had to make a change.
Yeah.
Whereas when you was 19, you didn't have to make a change. So would you have had the same benefits?
Yeah, that's where my life of choices were. I discovered alcohol at a very, very young age. I was drinking in pubs from the age of 15. And I started smoking at the age of, probably about the same time I started drinking in pubs, so 15, 16.
I don't know. I didn't know you then.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, I was smoking and drinking from a very young age. I was eating incredibly unhealthily. I didn't do any sport or activities. And then that just carried on. And then when I started on the corporate career, when I started in the corporate world, working my way up the ladder, and it became more and more stressful, and the expectations from a career perspective, that added a toll. And then my job was very social. So it's very drink orientated.
And then you had a family depending on you as well.
Yeah, things just piled on top. It compounded the problem.
Yeah.
So it felt like a weight was lifted when I was able to leave that job. I was able to give up alcohol. I was able to change my dietary requirements. Going vegan just felt, by the time I'd gone vegan, I'd given up all this other stuff. Going vegan just felt like a drop in the ocean. By that point, I could have changed anything.
Yeah. I don't think changing our whole diet and outlook on life was as hard as people think it is.
Yeah. I mean, the best thing I ever did was give up alcohol by that had to be the number one thing to change.
It was the first thing that had to change.
Yeah. There's no way I could have carried on. I couldn't have achieved anything. I mean, when you give up booze, you think clearly, all the negative sides. I mean, everyone that's drunk to excess will know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm not talking about the occasional cheeky glass of wine here or there. I could never do the occasional cheeky glass of wine, the half a lager at a mate's barbecue. Yeah, that was never me. I was never able to be like that. My drinking was significantly to excess. So that aside, giving that up meant I was able to think clearly. I didn't have any of the hangovers, the next day fog, not being able to. And also alcohol is a depressant as well. So it brings your mood. You're naturally just at a lower level all the time, especially when you drank as much as I did, because your body just never recovers. It's never given the chance to recover from the alcohol in your system. So when I gave it up, I was able to think clearly, and then that led me to be able to make other life changes. And the other life changes, on the scale of difficulty, will never be as hard as giving up the booze.
No. Which is why it took you 2 or 3 attempts to actually to achieve it.
Because it was so heavily ingrained in my psyche, and I was dependent. I mean, the word dependent just feels...
doesn't even come close.
No. But maybe that's another podcast. I don't know whether there's an interest or an appetite for people to hear a story about how horrifically awful it was for me to be dependent on alcohol. I'm not sure whether there is an appetite for that. But on that positive note, this has been a episode that I've wanted to record for a while.
But that ultimately is what led us to be in this place that we are in right now.
Yeah.
Without that, you wouldn't have started to become healthier.
No.
Without that, we wouldn't have turned vegan.
No.
And without that, we wouldn't be sitting here right now making this podcast.
No, we wouldn't be living in this new house.
No.
We wouldn't have moved homes.
No.
We wouldn't have changed. I wouldn't have left my career.
No.
I mean, a career I've been in since I was 18.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have without giving up alcohol, I wouldn't have gone vegan.
No.
I wouldn't have started fitness. Fitness wouldn't have even entered my mind, because fitness was for other people. I mean, I wouldn't have lost weight.
No. I used to think that people that used to walk and run for fun were stupid.
Yeah.
Not that
you still do.
Yeah, but I can't say that when I've
run a 10K.
Yeah.
Once a year.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You always scoff at me and my crazy challenges. You're just used
No, a challenge isn't somebody that just goes and runs out for fun. A challenge is a challenge.
For fun. I do it for fun. I do it as a way. My challenges, I've always said this in my videos, I do them as a way of training and keeping me engaged. Because There's only so much you can just go out and run the same routes over and over and over. Whereas if I make it a challenge, it gives me something to aim for and a target.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I'm off on a tangent. One of the reasons I was so successful in my old career, in my old job, was because we had really tough financial targets to hit, and I was really good at hitting them.
Yeah.
And I knew tactically what to do. Strategically, I knew I was great at coming up with a plan to get me from A to B to hit that target. I now employ
and you put that into your weight loss.
Into my weight loss and my fitness.
Yeah.
So if I'm training for example, the Thames Path Challenge, rather than just go out and follow a training plan, which is dead boring. I mean, that is boring.
Yeah.
I will come up with a challenge to get me there. So I'll do the David Goggins challenge. That'll kick me off. I'll do park runs challenges to make videos
to try and beat your time,
my time, which is HIIT training, which is, you know, great for muscle development and strength training. And then I will do like a marathon this weekend. Like I'm going out running every day this week after the David Goggins challenge last week, because I've got a marathon this weekend. So I just want to make sure that my muscles aren't going to seize up on the marathon. But then when I've done the marathon, that's a long distance run done. So anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, but yeah.
My whole point was that our whole entire outlook on life now is completely different.
Yeah.
All down to the very first point that started it was you having to give up alcohol. Not wanting to, because that's a completely different thing as well. Having to. Because you didn't want to.
No. Initially, it's because it's change, isn't it? It's all I've been used to.
Yeah.
My whole life, my whole adult life. It's all I've been used to. And it's change.
You don't like change even
now.
No,
but who does? Who does?
You didn't like that they changed the recipe of your cereal.
No. But for someone who doesn't like change, I've made a lot of it.
Yeah, you have.
So,
but you can see that they've all been good changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't make bad changes.
No. Make bad choices.
Yeah.
Instead. Right. We need to conclude this podcast because it is going to be a Martin Scorsese epic. Anything you want to add?
About being vegan.
About anything in life in general. Would you like to close off the podcast episode? No? Okay, great. So, oh my goodness.
No, go on, you go.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You don't want to add anything?
I don't think so.
Would you like to say anything to my viewers?
Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Yeah, guys, look, this has been a subject I've wanted to cover off in both video form on my main channel and also in the podcast. As I say, all my podcast episodes moving forward are going to be videoed. They're going to be in this format, not necessarily with a guest, unless you want to be part of all my future podcasts.
Not really.
Okay.
Not really.
So with that level of enthusiasm, I do hope you return back and catch me next week. I will be uploading these exclusively to my Patreon page first for a whole season. And as soon as the season is complete, I'll be uploading them to my second YouTube channel, which is the Condon UNSCRIPTED YouTube channel, is the name I've currently gone for it. Hopefully I will not change my mind. But yeah, I really appreciate your support. And please check out my backlog of episodes if you haven't done so already. And I'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.